I'm Larry Farver, and let's queer up politics. Colorado GOP leader arrested on child sex crime charges following online sting operation. Hunter Rivera, the now former chairman of the Weld County Republican Party in Colorado, was arrested last week when a sting operation was conducted with investigators and the Larimer County Sheriff's Office posing online as minors offering sexual acts for sale. Rivera now faces charges including soliciting a child prostitute, internet luring of a child, soliciting to arrange a minor prostitute, and cybercrime, and attempted sexual assault on a child. Rivera resigned from his leadership role immediately following the arrest. He previously chaired the Northern Colorado chapter of Young Republicans. Sheriff John Feyen said in a statement, quote, "Children are not property to be bought or sold. Human trafficking is modern-day slavery, and we won't tolerate it in Larimer County. I hope this operation sends a strong message. It doesn't matter who you are. If you try to hurt kids in our community, you will be held accountable," end quote. The arrest comes amid ongoing political rhetoric from some Republican leaders accusing LGBTQ plus people, drag queens, and allies of, quote, grooming, end quote, children. Despite repeated arrests of Republican officials and activists in child sex crime investigations. Well, we do see the wave. We see the evidence. We need to somehow get that out there to the mainstream, who are being deflected by our leader and all of his cronies.
Yeah, but it is out there in the mainstream. The problem is
people are ignoring it.
That's exactly right. Okay. People are ignoring it. More and more people, you know, who are cutting cable and cutting this and cutting that, they don't get the full news anymore. They get the news that they receive through their phone, through TikTok, through their... So
you're right.
These conservative people don't get both sides of the story.
No, they see like their friends posting Facebook queer, you know, anti-queer hoaxes,
yep,
or, you know, claim of grooming,
yep,
but they never actually look into it. The lack of critical thinking is a result of Republicans gutting public education for the last 40 years. They don't want you to think. They don't want you to look for evidence. They don't want your critical thinking skills. They want you to take the job, like it, suffer from the low salary, don't ask questions, worship billionaires, listen to your pastor, beat up queer people, and not question them when the pastor of their own very church goes in the back and try to solicit, you know, a little child for sexual favors.
In defense of the American public, I think Americans are smarter than people give them credit. This is a leader of the Young Republicans. That's not the same thing as, like, you know, in 2006, there was a whole scandal with the U.S. Speaker of the House, who was also a Republican, who was having sex with children. Like, this is there is a pattern of weird sex crimes in this country, and it is the Republican Party that seems to be involved with this, and religious Christian extremists. Like, I don't quite understand why they're like, oh, I want to be a right-winger and touch children. I don't get where the connection is, but you can't deny that seems to be very real. And voters did throw the Republican Party out in 2006 in many ways because of that sex scandal attacking children. I don't think a Young Republican rises to quite the same level of voter concern, though I will say that this is not the only Young Republican, like, scandal in the last 6 months. Like, Young Republicans are just a mess. I used to be a Young Democrat, and they were a weird mess, but this is a whole new level.
Because we are now at a situation where the Young Republicans no longer have competent leadership and guidance. When the people up top, the old Republicans, as opposed to the young ones, are that much, you know, into grift, into, you know, propaganda. You know, we just caught college Republicans in FIU and UF using racial slurs and derogatory language in their communication, openly advocates violence against minorities. These are learned behavior, or as Olivia Pope from Scandal once said, fish rots from the head. When the higher-ups are not behaving, why would you expect people who are downstream to behave?
And like I said, we already have a society that has constantly overlooked the rotting fish head in our country right now. Mm-hmm. So why would this be any different?
Exactly.
Yes, he was caught. Thank God. Yes, will serve time and have, hopefully, do justice, served him. But then that's it. nobody's going to say anything about it. The public is so dead to it.
The public is insensitive.
Desensitized.
Desensitized.
Yeah. You defend the public. They're dealing with so much being thrown at them at once. So the one thing I do have to call out one bit of fake news, Bobby. You were implying the Republicans at one point were not rotten to the core, and I have no idea what time in history you could be referring to. Like,
no comment.
Look at Nixon's taxes, people, before you even get to Watergate and Reagan and Iran Contra, and just the way that they've been openly trying to like criminalize us for most of our existence. Like it's always been a rotten to the core party. And that was a rather rotten story. There is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBT stories by sharing them and subscribing to Queer News Tonight.